having done the Grandstand base station last time, I thought we'd carry on with the Grandstand products. And here's the quite unusual, I've only seen this one and one other, Grandstand P2004 hand portable. And like a lot of the Grandstand products, it's of the highest quality. In fact, this one is, to me, looks like it's a business radio that's been had some alterations in the design to be able to bring it onto citizens band. I think there's some areas of the world where they have a 29 meg business radio band. It's a 4-channel crystal controlled transceiver. We've got no service information whatsoever. Anyone who's got a handbook out there or a circuit diagram, let us know. So you've got channel A, B, C and D, and I made a note that the 4 channels are 2, 14, 21 and 39. Interesting choice. Squelch and volume, external antenna, so it's quite a useful thing, you know, to be able to do that. 1.5 meter enormous telescopic aerial, and you've got an earphone socket, so we're going to be able to plug it into the test equipment, and you've got a charger socket. It takes 9 AA batteries, so I presume that's intended for rechargeables. You've got the crystals for transmit here, and each one has a trimmer, as it correctly should, and the crystals for the receiver are there. So we'll go through a tune-up procedure. This radio is one of my own personal ones from my own collection. Looking at the back of the radio, the maker's plate shows that it's made by Hokuto Electronics in Japan. Okay, we've got the lids off then, and this is a working set. Just going to try and do a tune-up procedure with it. So having to make up the information as we go, because there's no service information on this that we've got. I've had to connect the power, and I've been careful to put 12 volts on the bench power supply, not 13 or anything. I've had to connect it to the input socket through some crocodile clips, because bizarrely we haven't got a plug that fits. I can't think why, because we've got 1.1, 1.3, 2.1 and 2.5mm plugs, but none of them fit. Been able to connect the audio up to the test set through the earphone socket. I've been able to connect the RF to the test set through the what we call a Motorola adapter, which is a phono socket on the radio. So where do we start? Well, I think we've selected channel 21, which is as near to the centre of the band as possible, so that's 27.80125, and that is channel C on this radio. But I don't know which way these crystals go. So is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or is it 1, 2, 3, 4? So we'll find out. Going into transmit, (27.80137) is virtually spot on. So it's either going to be that one or it's going to be that one. See which way it's going. Well, it isn't that one, but it's that one. So from that we know it's what channel A, B, C, D. So I'll now make a note of that. So while we're at it, we may as well set the other channels on frequency. Selecting position D is channel 39, so we're looking for 27.98125. That'll be the one closest to me. Selecting channel B, and channel B is channel 14, so that's 2773125. That's spot on. And then finally channel A, which is in reality channel 2, and so that's 2761125. That's the one furthest away from me. Very near to being spot on now. So I'll just return it to channel C. So we're on channel 21 in reality. So just to recap, the trimmers for the frequency for each crystal and transmit: channel A, channel B, channel C, channel D. Now let's see what power it's doing. Now I've already forgotten, is it a 2-watt radio this? I think it is. Right, it's a 2-watt radio. So going into transmit now, and it is doing what on our test set? It is doing just under 1 watt. What I've done is to disconnect the rod antenna. As you know, we've gone straight into the socket, so that will be going the input side of the aerial loading coil. So we've got no worries about the SWR being wrong, and we'll see whether we can improve on that power with a tune-up procedure. Now it looks to me like all the transmitter coils are going to be down. I think these are going to be the transmitter. That's clearly the receiver. So I can't upset anything because I've got the test equipment in front of me to rectify it if I'm wrong. Yes, that is indeed transmitter. So that's the first one. Second one, Pete. So it's just doing under the 1 watt. I would think this next one's connected to the receiver, but I will just adjust it to find out. I can't give you any coil numbers because there's none printed. No, that didn't affect the transmitter, so it's clearly the receiver. So what we'll now do is I've had to put the soldering iron on to melt the wax in some of these other coils. When a radio like this says it's 2 watts, we don't know whether it's 2 watts input to the transmitter, whether it's 2 watts output from the transmitter. So it's a bit of a guessing game. I remember the DNTHF 12/3 being a bit like that. Crystal controlled set in some ways, and it was 2 watts input, half a watt output. But I don't think it was very clear that it was that. Now that final coil, which is just there, is going to be the loading coil for the antenna. So we're not going to touch that. So that just gives us with the that's it. That's all we can do, and we've got 1 watt. We've gone from 0.9 to 1. We've made no difference to this. So the tune-up procedure has been the crystal multipliers here, and then moving across the transmitter with those 1, 2, 3 there, avoiding that one which is clearly the loading coil for the antenna. So not really very good. We've certainly not brought it up to the 2 watts, but as I say, that may be 2 watts input and not 2 watts output. I'll just get our little oscillator out, and we'll see if we can set the deviation up. Now the deviation, we've got 2 presets in this radio. We've got a preset just there under the wiring harness, and we've got a preset just there. And from where these are in the circuit, to be honest, it could be anything. Is one squelch? Is one deviation? I don't know. We're going to find out. So let's just switch the oscillator on. Just had to retune the test set there. And that's brought the deviation up from 1.2 to the 2.5 maximum. So it was the preset resistor just there. Now I've also got, I said we've got this call tone, so if I press transmit and then the call tone, you can hear that coming through my monitor. And the deviation is exactly the same as when I just used the little oscillator. So we've now tested the microphone circuit by using my little oscillator, and of course we've proved that the call tone is the same setting on the deviation. So that we've now got between 2.2 and 2.5 kilohertz, which is as it should be. So that's all I can say on the tune-up of the Grandstand P2004, and hopefully you'll join me on the receive side of this radio.